So at the start of the year, lots of new product launches. What we're going to do today is compare the core models from the 5 big brands. So we've got, not necessarily new, but the Titleist GT2 from last year. We've got the Elyte, the Cobra DS Adapt, the TaylorMade, the QI35 core model, and the G440 Max. So we're going to test each of these, going to do some solid strikes, bit of toe and heel, and look at what does each club give you. Is there a best for distance? Is there a best for consistency? We'll let you know at the end of the video. So how we're going to do the test today is going to use the shaft that I use and spec to my spec in terms of swing weight. So all the heads are weighted equally and the lots are all in their standard position in the 9-degree heads across each of the models. So as many consistencies as possible, and where there's an option of weight forward, weight back, we've got the weight back, so we're looking at the more stable position, more forgiving setup in each of the heads. So it's as true a comparison as possible. Going to get 6 to 8 shots, 6 to 7 shots with each club. 4 or 5 out the middle, and then 1 toe and heel. So looking at how does that consistency work across the face from a spin and a ball speed side of things, so that when we get to the end, I'll give a bit of a comment on each head as we go through, but when we get to the end, we can really give a comparison on how consistent is the performance, and are there any standouts between each of the different models. So which one's best from a consistency point of view, which one's longest, and any other kind of informative information or anything of any detail that we can give you to help make a decision on which one you like the look of this year. So Titleist from a feel point of view, very stable across the face, and very much kind of high-low on the face in particular. You don't really feel a lot of twisting, so it's very solid feeling head. Launch is a bit harder than I expected, so there's plenty of launch out of it, but it's quite strong on spin. So probably find from a distance point of view, going to be quite strong. How to compare heel and toe? Well, the last 6 months or so with the head, we've seen it pretty good across the face, but with the new heads out now, we'll see where it ranks. On to the next one. So moving on to the Cobra, the DS Adapt. Cobra's a brand, underrated I believe, and the dark speed model, the X in particular, last year when it was good was really good. So looking forward to seeing what this baby's got. So the Cobra, by the looks of it, very stable for spin out the center. The deviation for those middle shots, really very small. Look to drop off a bit on the heel, but actually out the toe, maintain spin. So that's something that when we compare them, I think this will compare very favorably, maybe other than the heel strike, but very consistent performance. Impressed with that. So moving on to QI35, TaylorMade known to be very strong performers with the driver, and this one on a previous video, if you look at the comparison between this and the QI10 that we've already done, you'll see that this is a pretty strong performer. So we'll see with these hits how it sits relative to the other new models. So the TaylorMade feels great off the face, the sound, that real kind of feel of speed. I think, as a feedback side of things, this feels hot. And I think with the weight dialed forward for me, I know there's a low spin one in there. Weight back, it's a bit of a different beast. And I think giving a kind of a little update in the middle of how we compare between the Titleist, the Cobra and the TaylorMade, actually for me, I think we're seeing strongest spins out of the Titleist. Consistency of spin, right now the Cobra's sitting in a great place. But I think TaylorMade from a feel, and it'll be interesting to see the numbers at the end, but ball speed, the TaylorMade feels the fastest. So each have their merits, but ultimately TaylorMade I think has the most potential on distance, and actually the Cobra a huge amount of consistency. However, from a flight efficiency, the Titleist are giving me the best numbers. Interesting. So if you'd like to know a bit more about this particular head and how it compares to QI10, we've got a video on that. So go to this link, check it out. We've got a test against different strike points and performance, model to model, which I think you could find really interesting. So onto the Ping G440 Max. Now Ping is a company known for consistency. You know, they've made their name on stability and efficiency and consistency across the face. So where does this one stack up relative to the others? So Ping's claim about the heel performance this year with what they've done with taking weight out and improving heel performance, we'll see the numbers at the end, but that absolutely stacks up. The spin out of that heel strike, which was pretty much on the shaft, was brilliant. It feels so solid through the ball. I mean, there's just so little distortion feel-wise. I think that's Ping are really doing a Ping thing in terms of that is so stable, and from a feeling and a confidence point of view, it just feels like you can hit it anywhere on the face and it stays with you. How do the numbers compare? We'll see it after we fit the Callaway. So final head, Callaway Elyte. So you know, we've seen the Cobra, we've seen the Titleist, we've seen the Ping, we've seen the TaylorMade. All got good elements of performance. Which one's going to be best once we've tested this? Fascinating to see. So let's get the shots with this, see how it comes out. That last one's very, very toey, but interesting. It's a very solid feeling head. I think to strike with, that almost feels the gutsiest of all the clubs. It feels like there's a lot of mass at the back. To swing with it definitely moves a little differently than the others. And to say at contact, it's got a nice pop off the face. What's noticeable is that none of them, actually the Titleist seems to be the lowest spin looking at these numbers. We'll delve into the details very shortly, but yeah, very, very solid feeling head. Almost, the Callaways have felt almost a bit light in the past. This has got a bit more guts to it, so it'll be very, very interesting when we get into the numbers now. So actually some really, really interesting results that we've come out with here. I'm going to go through each model, each club, and give you where it's strongest, where it kind of stands out, and then look at most consistent, longest, and then what I'd play at the end of it. So going through the numbers on these, the one that stands out with the Callaway, now bearing in mind face to path numbers and tolerance on face to path is very, very consistent across these batch of hits. This is demonstrably the straightest from a left-right dispersion point of view. So tolerance 15 feet either side. That's better than half of what the others are. Now, you know, 39 feet for the Ping is equally speaking very good, but 15, that left to right tolerance is really remarkable. Very, very impressive from the Callaway there. If we're looking at front-back dispersion, we go onto the Ping. Now, 7 yards versus 10 versus 11, 12 and 14. So the Callaway is, the Ping is the best front to back, but it's also the best on spin consistency. And that's notably like 174, considering there was one right out the heel and one toey. That's super consistent. So Ping's claims to, you know, they're the most consistent product, or what people always think of them for, 100% backed up there. That's a remarkably consistent spin number. Very impressive there. The give up, it's a little bit slower than some of the others, a little bit, but you know what? If you're going to be that consistent on spin, you're gaining some of that on the miss hits from a distance point of view. Going into the TaylorMade, it's a little bit lower on launch, pretty good on spin overall. I think that one, it's an interesting, I think that one has the most potential. I know from that one, if we put the weight forward, that's got a real low spin bobber in there. I think ball speed wise, that one has the most ball speed potential of all of them. And maybe from a feel point of view, it's a very, very good feel. Quite versatile from a setting point of view, but interestingly enough, with the weight back, there isn't an element on this that I would say stands out over and above all the others. However, it's a marked improvement on QI10, that's for certain. Moving on to the Cobra, actually the surprise package in this respect, because whilst the spin consistency doesn't look anywhere near as good as the others, I'm going to open this up. If I take out the one that I caught out the heel, a little bit low heel, which really flared the spin up, it then drops down to a 200 rev tolerance, which is right up there with the Ping. And actually the spin's just that little bit stronger. So I think overall, Cobra as an all-around product, maybe a hair less consistent left to right, but actually that spin stability, that's a bit of a surprise package. So certainly 100% if you're looking for a safe, stable, consistent spin, but potentially your miss is more on the toe side, the Cobra is a great product. And the Titleist is the lowest spin. So for this batch of testing, it's the longest. Particularly if you're getting it a hair high up the face, it takes a bit more spin off than the other models, which then for these shots has given it that little bit extra run out and just supercharged the total a little bit more. So for me, in terms of my shot pattern, my strike pattern, my spin profile, this is giving me the longest shot. Now for others, it might be too low in spin, but for me, that's giving me the most distance. Otherwise, ball speed, smash factors, very, very similar. It's very small tolerances either side. If we were to go back to the beginning and say, right, which is the most consistent driver? It's a really tight call. There are actually three that put their hand up for this. The one that just nicks it when we're looking at a cross-face performance is the Ping. That's the best from a front-back dispersion point of view. That's the one that gives you the most consistent yardage. Callaway left to right is brilliant, but it's a little bit longer, shorter in terms of the missed strikes. And if you're not a heel striker of the ball, if you're sort of centre to toe, the Cobra puts his hand up and there is right out with a Ping, but the Ping just nicks it. In terms of longest on test, it's the Titleist. That low spin gives it that little bit more distance, that little bit more run out, a little bit more punch through the air. So it's a bit stronger overall. But I think from a potential yardage point of view, if you put that weight forward in the Cobra and the TaylorMade, each of those gives that potential to be a real bomber as well. So actually some really good drivers in there. Longest Titleist, most consistent Ping, but there's some great options out there, and actually getting a fitting and dialing them in, you'll see which one gives you the best options, and that versatility of moving weight forward and back on the TaylorMade and the Ping, TaylorMade and the Cobra, actually give us some real tools to match up feel, performance, flight, consistency, yardage. If I was doing it on feel, did quite like the Callaway. But look, great set of tests, great set of heads rather. Some really safe spin numbers. They've all gone a little bit more stable on the spin rather than volatile low spin, all better out the toe than they have been in previous years. But make sure you get fitted, dial it in, and you could find a great driver this year. So if you like the content from the video today, please hit the like button, subscribe. Let us know what you'd like to see us do as well. We're always open to anything that you guys want to see. There will be loads of comparison videos coming out. We've done some already, and there'll be plenty more to come. But let us know what you'd like us to do, and we'll get on to filming those and give you some more content to watch in the near future.